everyone, welcome back to Educations Expert. I am Bharti Sharma, your spoken English educator. So I welcome you all in my next part of tenses series, which is based on future perfect tense. So today we are going to discuss future perfect tense as we have completed with the future continuous tense. So let's get started. All right, now let's quickly jump into the definition first and understand what does it says. So basically it says the future perfect tense is used to describe an action that will have been completed at some point in the future, right? So again, if we are talking about future, that means the action has not completed yet, right? So whatever the action that will have been completed at some point in the future, at that time we are going to discuss about what? Future perfect tense, right? So what will be the auxiliary verb that we are going to use? As I have told you from the starting of this future series, as I have told you that we are going to use one auxiliary verb throughout the future series, which will be always and always will and shall. Rest of the things will change definitely, but will shall will remain constant, right? So apart from will shall, we will use have, right? Have. And as you know that if we are studying perfect tense, that means we need to apply third form of the verb, right? So as we are again on the future perfect tense, we are going to use auxiliary verb will shall plus have plus third form of the main verb. Again with me, will shall have third form of the main verb. Will shall have V3. Will shall have V3. I hope now you remember this and you have even wrote this, right? All right, now let's move forward and quickly jump into the examples first. So first example we have is I will have finished this book. I subject will, or you can also use over here what? Shall. As I have told you that we can use shall with I and we, right? So I shall or I will have finished this book. Clear? They will have left Japan. They will have left Japan. That means they have not left Japan yet. They will have left Japan maybe sometimes later. Next up we have is it will have stopped raining. It will have stopped raining. We will have met Julie. He will have arrived. She will have cooked dinner. You will have studied the English tenses. We will not have met Julie, and he will not have arrived, and she will not have cooked dinner. So each and every sentence is very simple. You just have to put will or shall according to the subject. Otherwise, have and third form of the main verb will remain constant in sentences. So if you look more closely with the in any of the verb, you will get to know that we have used only third form of the main verb. Whether it is finished, that means finish, finished, and finished. Right. Next up we have is left, leave, left, left, stop, stopped, stopped. Then we have is meet, met, met. Next up we have is arrive, arrived, arrived. So in each and every of the sentences we have used third form of the main verb. That you have to use whenever you are using what? Perfect tenses. Now I hope this much is clear for you. Let's move forward. All right, now let's learn about uses of future perfect tense. Like where do we use future perfect tense? Let's understand it one by one. The future perfect tense is often used with time expression that identifies a point in the future, right? So we use it with a time expression which will identify a point in the future. How? Let's see some examples of. Rajat will have baked a cake before you arrive. Now before you arrive shows over here what? It shows a time expression. Before you arrive, Rajat will have baked a cake. Clear? Next up we have is they will have painted the fence before I have a chance to speak to them. Clear? They will have painted the fence before I will, from the before till to them. It shows the time expression. Clear? Next up we have is completed action before something in the future. Completed action before something in the future. How? The future perfect will denote the idea that something will happen before another action in the future, right? So basically if something is going to happen, the future perfect will denote the idea that something will happen before the another action. It may also indicate that something will take place before a particular time in the action. How? Let's see some examples of. I'm not going to have finished this exam at 2 o'clock. Right, I am not going to have finished this exam 2 o'clock. That means before 2 o'clock I'm not going to finish this exam. Next up we have is by the time she gets home, he is going to have decorated the entire house. By next January, I will have received my degree. So basically, in all of the sentences, if you have noticed, they are indicating that something will happen, will take place before a particular time in the. I hope now this much is clear for you. Now let's move forward. Next up we have is duration before something in the future, right? With non-continuous verb and some continuous uses of mixed verbs, we make use of the future perfect for showing that something will continue up until another action in the, right? Something will continue up before the until the another action in the future, right? Examples. By Monday, Jack is going to have had my charger for a month. Right? So basically, it's not going to be a month, but by Monday it will be a month that Jack is going to have had my charger. Clear? Next up we have is I will have been in London for 2 months by the time I leave. By the time I leave. That means this shows the until another action in the future, right? Next up we have is to talk about an action that will finish before a certain time in, right? So if an action is going to finish before a certain time, before a specific time that is going to given in the future, right? At that time we can use. How? By 8 o'clock tomorrow, I will have taken off for Japan, right? I will have taken off for Japan by 8 o'clock, right? So we are going to before a certain time in the future, right? So I am telling you by 8 o'clock, right? By 8 o'clock I will have taken off for Japan. We will have left by the time you get home. We will have left, हम जा चुके होंगे जब तक कि तुम घर वापस आओगे. Next up we have is I shall have read this book before he comes. मैं इस बुक को रीड कर चुका होऊंगा जब तक कि तुम यहाँ पर. So that means it shows the certain time, before a certain time. That means जब तक तुम यहाँ आओगे तब तक first action will have been completed, right? So this is how we can use. Now let's move forward and understand some more uses of future perfect tense. Now next up we have is to talk about an action that will be completed before another event takes place. This is similar to the last one. So example over here, she will have learned Chinese before she moved to China, right? So this is similar to the previous one. The surgeon will have operated on 6 patients before she attended a luncheon meeting. Luncheon meeting means lunch meeting. The plumber and his assistant will have soldered all the new joints in the pipes before they leave for the next job. Now last and next one is as by the time you get back from the lunch, we will have finished writing the letters. I don't think so there is no need to explain something, because this is kind of really similar to the previous one that I have already explained you. So basically in this time also we are talking about an action that will be completed before the another action takes place. Clear? Next up we have is to express conviction that something happened in the near past, right? So if we want to express a conviction, right, at that time something that has happened in the past, we are talking about that. The guest will have arrived at the hotel by now. होटल बाय नाउ मीन्स गेस्ट जो है वो अब तक होटल पहुंच चुके होंगे. आई एम श्योर द गेस्ट दैट हैव अराइव्ड एट द होटल. I hope this is clear for you. Let's move forward. All right, now let's understand not using the future perfect tense. That means we are not to use future perfect tense. Now let's understand this. So we must use the future perfect tense only for actions that will be completed before a particular time in the future. That means if we're talking about an action that will complete before a particular point in the future, that means that is why the action you are talking about should have a deadline. At this point, we should use future perfect tense. Now let's understand where should we not use. If there is not any mention of a deadline, make sure to use the simple future tense instead of the future perfect tense. That means if you don't have a deadline, that time you should not use future perfect tense, you should always use simple future tense. Let's see one example so that you can get the idea. Tavisha will leave, Tavisha will have left. If you notice in this sentence, we don't have any deadline. So that's why we should use over here simple future tense. So that will be, correct one will be Tavisha will leave, not Tavisha will have left, right? So first up we have, that is correct one. I hope now this is clear for you. Let's move forward. All right, now let's understand the time expression. Like what is the time expression that we should use at the time of future perfect tense, and what are the contraction forms that we should keep in your mind. So time expression used with future perfect tense is this: by plus dot dot dot, means by the time, you can say that by the time, or you can whatever, right? Next up we have is before, for particular time, until or till, by then, by the end of, by tomorrow, right? So you, by using all of these things, you can use future perfect tense, and you should use time expression at the time of future perfect tense. I hope now this is clear for you. Let's move forward and understand contraction with the future perfect. In speaking with the future perfect tense, we often contract the subject and will, means subject and the first auxiliary verb. Sometimes we may contract subject, will and have all together. Yes, this is also a thing that you should know, that we sometimes we may contract subject plus will plus have also. That means all together. How? Let's see this. I will have, I'll have, I'll have. Now, if I have to contract all of these three things, then you can say it as I'll have, I'll have, I'll have, I'll have. It's the most fastest one. Clear? Next up is you will have, you will have, you will have, you'll have, you'll have. Right? He will have, he'll have, she will have, she'll have, it will have, it'll have, it'll have, we will have, will, will, will have, they will have, they'll have. Let's see some examples of it. I will have finished the work. I will have finished when you arrive. When you arrive, right? So I'll have finished when you arrived. They will have had their dinner by then. They'll have their dinner by then. Next up we have is she'll have forgotten everything. She'll have forgotten everything. In negative sentences, we may contract with won't. That means will plus not. That becomes won't. Right? Next up we have is Anthony won't have arrived by then, or they won't have finished the car tomorrow. So in the last sentence we have contracted will plus not plus have, will plus not plus have, and it becomes won't have, won't have. Yes, they won't have finished the car tomorrow. Right? Now you might be thinking, ma'am, is there any contraction form for shall plus not? Yes, we do have, and it becomes shan't, shan't, shan't. But nowadays, I don't think so. There is a very much popular thing, or people actually do not use this. So that's why we, most of the time we use will plus not. So that's why I have created this thing. I mean, I am telling you by through these notes only will plus not. I'm not telling you about the shall plus not. But if you know, I am telling you through the conversation only. So we use shall plus not becomes shan't. So if it should be I, for example, it is I shall not have finished you when you arrive. So it becomes I shan't have. I shan't have. Shan't have becomes shall plus not plus have. Shan't have. I shan't have finished when you were born. Right? So this is how you contract the future perfect tense. This is how you contract the subject plus auxiliary verb. Now let's move forward and understand sentence structure. All right, now let's understand sentence structure for affirmative sentences. So what would be the sentence structure? This is the sentence structure. Subject plus will, shall plus have, MV3 and object. And you know this already because I have told you this thing in the starting of this video when I was talking about the definition. Will, shall, have, MV3. Right? These are the three things that you need to keep remember in your mind. So let's see some examples of it. I shall have finished my report by the end of this month. I shall have. See, that's why we have used shall. I shall have, from the structure, I shall have V3 finished. I shall have finished my report object by the end of this month. By the end of this month, that you need to tell the deadline, right? So next up we have is, he will have become the best YouTuber by next year. He will have become the best YouTuber by next year. She will have bought all the equipments by next month. She will have sung a song in the classroom by the time I came back. Next up we have is, I shall have finished this book by 7 p.m. You will have studied the English tenses by tomorrow. He will have arrived by tomorrow. We shall have met Juhi by 25th May. It will have stopped raining by tomorrow morning. They will have left Japan by next month. The storm will have raged by the time we arrived. Rage means this, okay, when you make someone angry, right? It's most commonly for humans, but the storm will have rage. Storm will have rage means कि आंधी ज़्यादा तेज चलने लगेगी, right? So the storm will have raged by the time we arrive. She will have applied for the next job in London by next month. We shall have won all the matches by the end of this year. She will have cooked dinner by in each and every sentences we have used only will, shall, have, and apart from this, as I have told you, the time expressions, and we should apply the deadlines also. So we have applied in every sentence the deadline also. So that's why we are using future perfect. I hope now this much is clear for you. Let's move forward. All right, now let's talk about sentence structure for negative sentences. So this is the sentence structure. Subject, will, shall, again same. You just have to put not after the auxiliary verb, not, have, MV3 and object. Now let's quickly jump into the examples, and I know that now you know how to create sentences for future perfect tense. So quickly read it out, the examples. Jenny will not have saved enough money yet. He will not have done it by this evening. I shall not have spent so much money on clothes. She will not have sent all the mails by tomorrow. He will not have lost money in 3 days. We shall not have written a letter by the time he comes back. Boys will not have played tennis by then. She will not have studied hard during the exams. He will not have met Julie. I will not have stopped rain. It will not have stopped raining. I will not have eaten by then. Henry will not have ran by 10 o'clock. So in each and every sentences, we have used only and only subject. Let's pick it out. Let's pick one example so that you can get the idea. Like if I'm getting this sentence, boys will not have played tennis. So boys over here is a subject because we're talking about boys, and it doesn't really matter that you are using a singular plural subject, doesn't matter. You just have to put will with everyone, right? Boys will plus negative sentences for not. Boys will not. Again, sentence structure says have, so have plus V3, that means played tennis by then, right? So this is the most simpler one, I guess, and I know that you have got this topic, right? Let's move forward and understand interrogative. All right, now it's time for you to learn about sentence structure for interrogative sentences, and this is the sentence structure, right? Will, shall, subject, have, MV3, object, and question mark. We have just put the auxiliary verb before the subject, and rest of the sentence structure is exactly the same. Clear? Now let's quickly see the examples. Will they have shifted to a new home? Shall we pass the examination? When will you have read this book? Will I have finished writing this book? Will you have studied all the English verb tenses? Will she have graduated? Will he have got married? Will we have met your boyfriend? Will you have married by Jay by then? Will mom have cooked for our favorite meal? And will the plant have grown by? So again, similar structure. We have just put the auxiliary verb before the subject. So will comes in front, and then the subject, then the have, and then the MV3 and all, right? So and also don't forget to put question mark in the end, because this is the only sign that can represent that it is a question, not a simple sentences, right? So I hope now this much is clear for you. Let's move forward and understand interrogative negative. Next up we have a sentence structure for interrogative negative sentences, and this is the sentence structure. Again, the sentence structure is exactly the same as interrogative. You just have to put not after the subject, right? So will, shall, subject, not, have, MV3, object and question mark. And these are the examples. Will he not have eaten pizza? Will, according to the subject, then you have to put subject, that is he, then not, then have, then verb की third form, that is eaten, then pizza plus question mark. Clear? Will he not have eaten pizza? Also, you need to focus upon the expression as well. Your question should always feel like that you're actually questioning to someone, right? Next up we have is, will they not have sent the movie? Shall I not have written my exercise by then? Shall I not have written articles on different topics before you come? Will Ranvijay not have read various kind of books? Will Bobby not have gone to the library before he comes to the class? Shall we not have shopped in the market before you come home? Will you not have shopped in the market before we come home? Will Jatin not have traveled around the world before he comes to Bangladesh? Shall we not have watched a movie in the Cineplex before you? So, see if it is looking complicated for you, or if it is looking more confusing, or you can say it is looking little difficult for you. It is looking difficult just because you have not practiced it yet and you don't know about this topic. So now you know this topic. All you need to do is that you have to practice a lot. Until unless you are not going to practice, it will never going to make you understand, or you will never going to get this topic, right? If you really want to get this topic, if you really want to make your own sentences, for that you need to practice a lot, right? Otherwise, there is nothing rocket science that you cannot do. You definitely can do, only and only if you're going to practice it a lot, right? So I hope now this much is clear for you. Let's move forward and understand WH sentence. All right, now quickly let's understand the sentence structure for WH family sentences. And here is the rule. What rule says? It says WH family plus everything is again same. WH family will, subject, have, with, object and question mark. This is the most again simpler one. All right, so let's talk about examples. When will I have finished writing this book? Why will you have studied all the English verb tenses by tomorrow? So if you look these sentences more closely, you will get to know that you cannot answer this thing as yes or no. This is the only difference between interrogative and double interrogative sentences. At the time of interrogative, you need to answer the question either in yes or maybe no. And when we are talking about double interrogative sentences, that means WH family sentences, at that time you need to give the explanations as well. Clear? Next up we have is, when will she have been here 3 weeks? I'm so sorry, I stammered a lot. Next up we have is, why will he have got married before June? Why will it have get colder by May? When will they have left for their jobs? How will we have met your boyfriend by tonight? Why will they have played hockey in that field? When will the poet have written a romantic poem before the program starts? And when will Robin have joined us the meeting before? Again, exactly, this is the most simpler one. You just have to put questionnaire sentences according to the structures. So thank you so much for watching this video till the end. I'm going to meet you in my last part of tenses series, which is based on future perfect continuous tense. So let's meet there, and I hope you stay connected till then. Bye bye. Be happy.